hosting. Yeah, so show me. Yeah, that's good. All right. I wasn't the camera was showing Dark Phoenix, not me.
Oh,
I want to make sure I had to say something to make sure that it showed me because I wasn't sure it was gonna show you and it's gonna pop up you, then I started talking. So ladies and
that
gentlemen,
was weird.
exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, dogs and dogettes. Ladies and gentlemen, we is the Black Geeks. We are on Black with you. Yeah. Oh, that should be my
Black
new
with
thing.
you.
Yo,
That's pretty good.
that's
That
could
was
have
a
been my
happy
new
accident.
thing.
Yeah, Black
Yo,
with you. I
hold
like
on.
that.
I'm gonna let me change my team. Black with you. Yes. There we go. Hold on. There we go. There, I changed. I am now black with you. That's gonna be my new. That's gonna be my new thing. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're Black Geeks and we are black with you. Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, that was a total accident. I know some of you guys who
That
were
was
watching.
subconscious. That was like, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Black back, hey, but it's so funny because I got a shout out this week from he's my personal celebrity, the Revolution. He and I've been chatting back and forth on Twitter for quite some time. He said, "Yeah, man, you guys are funny," and and like I swear, so sometimes I think some folks think that this stuff is scripted, and it's not. What we do is not scripted. It's not. I mean, granted, okay, fair enough. My news articles are scripted. But like if we're talking in the midst of an interview, that stuff, a lot of that stuff is not scripted.
Yeah.
Black with you, not scripted.
That was yeah.
That was awesome. So, as I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Black Geeks. Yes, we are. No, tonight we are the Black Geeks Light. we're definitely low calorie, low fat. If it wasn't me, if it was just Dark Phoenix, it'd be no fat. But I'm going to say, I'm on here, but we're still here for your geeky entertainment for the week. And I guess my co-host tonight or guest is Dark Phoenix. Say hello.
Yeah. Hi. How's it going?
Hey, all right.
I don't have a cool tagline yet.
Don't worry. It will come.
I'm working on it.
Don't even worry about it. It's gonna come to you, I'm sure. And so tonight we have a couple of topics for you. We've got normal kind of a short news segment for you to talk about some of the news of the week and just a couple of things I definitely want to know from Dark Phoenix what she thinks about it, and I'll tell you what I think about some of my topics. We're also going to get into the Netflix juggernaut. How Netflix is just it looks to be putting so much pressure on network television, and looking at some of the statistics, just the viewership, the money they're making is just incredible. And so we're going to have a conversation about whether Netflix is just the way of the future. Is this really going to put an end to network television or not? So we'll be having a chat about that, and we were going to have a conversation about what the geeks are watching, but the geeks aren't here. So maybe I think maybe the two of us are here, so we'll probably still just talk about what we're watching because we can't watch it all. There's so much great content we can't possibly watch it all. So we'll tell you what we're watching, because we're kind of like everybody's kind of splitting up doing their own thing, and we'll talk about some commonalities and similarities. So let's jump right off into the news I've got for you this week. Microsoft is offering Windows 10 for free for those who are using Microsoft, whether you're using Windows 7 or Windows 8, 8.1. You should have already gotten some type of invite or some type of note on your computer saying, hey, upgrade to Windows 10 for free. I've already signed up for mine with my little Windows 8 machine. I didn't go to Windows 8 for a long time, but I've gone there and it's worked out well. I'm still annoyed with the lack of my effective start menu button. I know I could have installed the little upgrade thing they did, but I was leery. But anyway, I'm just scary like that sometimes. Microsoft was offering an upgrade for pretty much just about everybody who's running Windows operating system, upgrade to 10 this week. And this is one of my personal to take a title from one of our geek brothers and sisters. This is my nerdgasm. Janet Jackson released a really, really great new track this week called No Sleep. Oh my God. It has this deep, sweet bass line, and the it works so well with her voice, and just really excited. She's already announced that she's dropping a new album. She's going to be going on tour, and if this is any sign, this is such a throwback to the Velvet Rope, which is so much
Yeah.
back. I'm really hoping that she's going back to her R&B roots. What do you think? Did you hear it already, Phoenix?
Yeah, I listened to it. I think because I follow Son of Baldwin, and he well, they put it out, and yeah, I was listening to it. I was excited for it. I'm gonna be honest, I I wasn't that blown away by the track, to be honest. I mean, I felt like it sounded a little bit like That's the Way Love Goes, which was great, but I don't know. I mean, but it's a first track, so I'm thinking it's just like a taste of what's to come. I didn't hate it though.
Yeah, well, don't forget also Janet is not the complete blow you away artist. I mean,
No.
she doesn't have high soaring vocals. She's not going to hit you with some incredible runs. That's not Janet. I mean, and that's one thing I like about what I'm hearing now is that I was so with her the first probably 3 albums. I probably up until Velvet Rope, and then I kind of drifted off a little bit because she went so pop dance. It just wasn't really for me. And and so I'm always going back to Velvet Rope because it was such a deep feeling.
Is that your favorite album of hers?
I would say it has to be my favorite. I
Mine
really
is Janet. The Janet album. That was the name of it, right? That was my favorite one. And I don't know. That's why I was like, That's Where Love Goes, things like that. And so I was kind of, I don't know, maybe that's because that's what I wanted. And when I was like, oh, okay, that's close to it. So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Velvet Rope, to be honest.
I know Velvet Rope was I think I've said on the show before, Velvet Rope was kind of our breakup album because that's when I realized that she was a little bit too freaky for me, and I'm like, oh, she had to
You didn't get that from the other albums though? I mean, not the early ones, but there was some stuff she'd be saying.
Yo, I did, and I was trying to hang with her, but when she dropped Velvet Rope, I just realized that it wasn't going to work for us anymore. So, I mean, it was so funny because even the sister I was dating at the time, I told her straight up, I said, look, I need you to understand something. If Janet pulls up in a limo and asks me to leave, please understand, I'm leaving. It's nothing personal. It's not about you. It's just, I mean, I was just that deep about it because I was all into it. But after Velvet Rope, I'm like, I need to pull back.
I don't think I can handle this.
I'm like, oh. But I think maybe it's just because I was really conflicted because I think around a little bit before Velvet Rope was when she did the interview with Oprah, and it's just the person that she is on the album and the person that she is in person.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so very different.
It is.
So,
I mean, I don't want to say I think it's just two sides of her. It's like that's how she's able to be when she's performing versus the personal, who she is.
Yeah.
In private.
Yeah.
I don't think one is a false one. I think they're both sides of her, really.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like her so much.
And I admired her, but I just couldn't deal with the performing side of her coming out in the personal. I just worried. I was like, I'm a little bit too conservative. No, I'm sorry. Walls and skirts. No, I just had to step back. All right. Let's see what else. So, I got a couple. I mean, look, we're about to get into some good conversation now.
Okay.
So, Hugh Jackman is confirmed to appear as Wolverine in the next series of X-Men, and this got me really thinking. And the next couple of kind of things for us to talk about, we're going to talk about characters. So, I don't really think that they could do. I don't think they could pull anybody else in as Wolverine at this point. No. I mean, Hugh Jackman has just done it so well. I don't think they could do it.
No, I agree with that. I mean, he's just so. I mean, it's when you think of, I guess, Wolverine in the live sense, it is Hugh Jackman. That's what comes to mind, I think, for people.
Right. No, you're right. Exactly. I don't think anybody can see anybody else playing another Wolverine. I mean, he's just played it so well, and I forgive him for the Wolverine movie. It's okay. That wasn't his fault. That was the writer.
No, it wasn't his fault. I still blame everyone involved, but
yeah, I definitely blame everybody. I blame the editors. I blame the executive producer. I'm like, man,
I was so mad at that movie.
I was so mad at that movie. How you going? I just like
the Catwoman movie. I was mad at Halle Berry for a minute after that. I was like, why'd you let them do that to you?
Yo, they needed Quentin Tarantino just to come in for that one scene. If you could just have Quentin Tarantino come in with a truck full of blood packets just for that one scene, that may have saved the movie.
Yeah.
But no, I was like, you can't have him run through people and not cut people in pieces. I was like, oh, jeez. So anyway, all right, but along the same lines, I know you heard about it this week, and no one knows if it's completely true. I haven't seen it confirmed yet. What do you think about Tyrese as Jon Stewart from Green Lantern? Did you see that this week?
No, I didn't see that.
Yo, so Tyrese was messing around on social media and dropped something about him being Green Lantern, being the Jon Stewart, and Chris Pine playing Hal Jordan. And I'm like, I'm too worried about Tyrese bringing Jordy. I can just see him do it. All of a sudden, Jordy pops out. I mean, just a Jody from Baby Boy. Yeah. I was like, I don't know how I feel about Tyrese being Jon Stewart. I don't know. Now King Face has joined us, so he's on the line. I know that he probably has some feelings about it. King Face, welcome aboard, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, in my new mansion down in Florida, hanging out on vacation, doing what I do, not bragging or anything.
That's all right. It's okay. We all got vacation coming up. Don't worry.
I'm always on vacation. I'm in California.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what? And here's the great part about being in California. At some point in time, the big one's going to come, and you guys are going to have your own personal cruise.
Wow.
A whole state.
Hey.
You know what?
Pow.
You know what? I mean, I can relate to being in California and always fearing for your life at any given moment. Because down here, I saw a tornado start. That was crazy.
Oh.
It was starting. So it didn't come all in, and I was just like, I remember seeing Twister, like, oh my god, this is really happening. But luckily we outran it, so yay for me.
And that's the beautiful part. I lived in Florida for a number of years, and that's the beautiful part is that everything is so flat you can see it coming. Typically, you can see it coming, especially if you have a nice little hill or something. But see that in California, it's just going to start rocking and rolling. Next thing you know, you're out to sea. You are now California, the island. So,
well, the thing about the earthquakes here is that we'll be sitting for dinner and the painting will shake a little bit, and it's like, regular day. It's
wow.
Kind of like you just get used to it after a bit.
Wow.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's why I hear most Californians say they're okay with this, so I can understand that. But King Face, I don't know if you heard about it this week. I was just talking about it. There was a news about Tyrese potentially being Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern. You have any feelings about that?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And I like Tyrese, so I think that's the wrong guy. I mean, but if they can make Paul Rudd be Scott Lang, then I guess it's possible. But you have yet to see whether or not that's successful. I just feel like, I'm going back to my old mission statement. They should just go with younger, unknown talent and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Lance Gross. Why don't they cast Lance Gross more?
See, that would be cool too. I can see him. I can see him being it. I think he's a good actor too. I always see him as, from what was that TV show? House of Pain.
Yeah.
That's why I remember him as. I know he's a little older now, but that would be cool too. I just feel like, if you was gonna tap into it, go ahead and that's not saying Tyrese wouldn't do a great job. I don't know. He might knock it out the park. I just feel like they could have went to go somewhere else with it. I would do something different. I mean, but the fact that they considering doing it is a good thing.
Yeah.
But, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna tell you, I was hoping they would go with somebody more serious, more mature. I don't want to knock Tyrese. I really like him as an artist. Don't get me wrong. I really like him as an artist. Like I do own several of his albums that I had paid for. They aren't bootleg or anything like that. I mean, I actually
Okay.
paid for Tyrese albums, and he's actually got a new album coming out. So I follow him on social media. I really like him. I think he's a really deep brother. I just worry. I just don't. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say Tyrese can't pull it off. I'm not saying that, but I'm just not sure. Just with the body of work that he has presently, I'm not sure. Maybe he can grow and step up into the role. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. Well, I guess we
You
just
ain't
have to
like him
wait.
with Fast and Furious. You ain't like Fast and Furious.
Well, hey, look, you don't. I can't compare that to being Jon Stewart. I mean, Jon Stewart's somewhat of that, cold stone face with that slight sense of humor. I mean, what he did over there. I mean, he kind of even played he played a very an emotional role, if anything. So
But I mean, for me, if I look at Tyrese, I understand Baby Boy because we all can't stop thinking Baby Boy.
Mhm.
But I mean, but when you look at that movie, there's a lot of like what was it? I keep messing up her name, and that's crazy because we were dating once. And I still mess up her name.
Okay.
Taraji P Henson.
Hmm.
I always thought she was a good actor, and I think the fact that it wasn't until this new TV show that came out that people started taking her seriously, I thought that was weird because I thought she was doing her thing. But I think that movie Baby Boy kind of put everybody a step back. I think Tyrese has done okay in movies. I thought he was good in The Four Brothers, but that was more of a surly type of role, and I actually like Four Brothers as a movie. So
Hmm.
when I look at that, my only thing when I say about Tyrese that I worry is not so much him. It's just the character in of itself. I would think if you went with someone else who was just coming up, but at the same time, I don't think it would have been like, oh man, Tyrese, oh, boo. I'm not saying that. I think he could probably pull it off. I don't think it would be that bad. Whether he could or not, I mean, it always remains to be seen. But I would think it wouldn't be so bad. I would go with somebody younger or somebody unknown, not someone so much
Hmm.
younger, someone unknown. I think for those roles, whenever they've done that, it's always been pretty good. So
again, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to see if this is the final casting. I mean, there's a whole lot more to do, a whole lot more to come. So I don't know. Like I said, it could just be something on social media. I have no idea. In tech news, I thought this was kind of interesting this week, and I'm sure that all those who are T-Mobile fans, and Drusky Coney says here, I'm sure he would be so proud that I'm supporting his T-Mobile as well as not supporting his other group this evening. Haha. But the T-Mobile has introduced the jump plan, and with the new jump plan, you can actually change phones up to whenever you want, 3 times a year. I and well, anyway, so zero upfront, zero upgrade. I mean, yeah, zero to pay on the upgrade. I mean, zero waiting. You have to wait. Most folks, you got to wait 2 years. I know on Verizon, I have to wait 2 years before I do it, unless I get on the Edge plan, which I didn't want to do the Edge plan. I'd rather just pay for it outright. But I mean, I'm just like, I just don't. I don't know, Phoenix. Do you see yourself changing phones more than twice a year?
No, I don't. I don't
I,
usually do that. I've
it,
changed it like maybe once a
I
year.
will say this because I have the jump plan, and so I've played that game. I normally don't change my phone before, but that's because I was buying it outright. I was buying it, and it was like it's not that big a deal. I'm not one of them people that buy a phone every year. They come out just cause, or in the case of Android, they come out with a new phone every 2 minutes, and you just got to do and buy it. I'm not. I wouldn't do that even when Apple comes out. I'm like I had my first iPhone. I bought the first iPhone. I kept that one until the 4. So that was like 4 years straight, and I only did that because mine was we bought the original iPhones when they were slow. They were kind of beta tested and all that stuff. But the only logic I saw behind getting it is the concept. Like I said, we've had this conversation before. I don't just blindly pick a side. I actually have had several phones and several devices. I told you, I mean, it's probably not relevant today, but my favorite phone thus far has been the Trio, and that's only because it was just convenient. I could just literally plug and play. and it didn't jump. It wasn't all jumpy. It wasn't all, glitchy or whatever. It was perfect. It was just, obviously, it was old technology, but it was still fun. I had no problems with that phone. And I hate iTunes. Even though I love my iPhone, I hate iTunes. I hate the concept of iTunes and everything about iTunes. So, but the thing is, I've been able to test different phones. Because like when I first went in, I had the Android phone. Granted, I kept it for all of 5 minutes, but I did have one. And just because like he said, he's like, you can try it out, and if you don't like it, just upgrade. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, you have the ability to test the phones and find out actually what you like, not so much by just saying, oh, well, I got this one and I like it, but by actually trying them out. So if you're new to the plan, you figure your first year, you could try 3 different types of phones. And then by your 4th time, you could just say, okay, I truly, honestly, truly tested these phones, and this is the one I like. And not so much because you grabbed the first thing that you liked and you're just using it, but you actually tried it out. Now, just for an average phone user, it's probably not that big a deal. But again, your average phone user would easily switch out phones every 5 minutes if you give them something new. Even if that something new was so minute. Like with these new phones, I didn't care that they extended the screen. It's a damn phone. It's not that serious, but some people would the new screen, I gotta buy it. And it's like, okay, never that big a deal. But for someone who likes the tech, I think that's more for tech guys or guys who's actually into the technology. They go ahead and they switch phones around and they actually take a look at what's really going on, and it's good for them or good for someone like me. It's a small bonus, but it is a bonus, even if it is a minute one.
Yeah, I can't perceive me personally. First of all, I love my Turbo, I'm with the Android, and I guess and I posted an article this week on the website because I had to do a. I was having issues with the phone, and they told me to do the factory reset, and I didn't. But having to go through and set everything back up. Fortunately, everything being in the cloud, a lot of my stuff could come back over. But just having to go through and all my social media apps and all the apps that I've got passwords for, having to redo all that. I mean, I guess maybe.
Oh, you have to do that with Android? That's crazy. I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was coming.
Wow. Oh, well, yeah, because, when I switched my phone, I just switched my phone and then I took it home, and all my stuff was still there, all my apps and everything. I was just able to press the button, and I got my apps back, and I didn't have to change passwords or anything like that. That is so crazy. But that doesn't mean I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Go right ahead, though. Keep going.
And that's one thing I worried about when I wrote that article, because I'm like, man, I'm really putting it out there, and I know Gigonius is going to totally roast me on the show today, but thank goodness he's not here. But no, I thought about that when I did it. I was like, you know what? I'm sure Apple users, when it comes to this particular aspect, I'm sure it's done a lot easier. And granted, now I was able to leave a feature on the phone active so that I didn't have to go and add any of my apps. All my apps just populated. It's just like how I probably had to go in and just do all the passwords and everything. But yeah, I know that other folks do it probably a bit better, and I'm not hating, but I love my Turbo and I'm not changing. So there.
Well, when I got my Samsung Galaxy, I was able to sync everything at the store, so I didn't have to do a lot either. Too much. I mean, I think I did have to put back in my passwords, but like all my apps and everything, she just did the person there, she just kind of held one phone to the other and they do a sync thing or whatever. I don't know if your Turbo does that, but like the Samsung Galaxy 5 that I have did that with the Samsung Galaxy 2 that I had. So, but I don't know. For me, I don't necessarily, for me, when I have a phone, and I think this is one of the reasons why I don't like the iPhone, because I don't feel like it doesn't feel personalized to me. And when I have a phone, it's like, this becomes like, not everything, but like I'm pulling it out all the time and things like that. So I get used to it. So it's kind of weird for me to have to think about the idea that just having it for a week or two and like, oh, I don't like this one feature, so in a month or two I'm going to switch it all over again and have a whole new thing to have to get used to. But then again, like you said, it's more probably for like a tech person who wants to like dig into that. For me, I like when I can just explore the phone for a day and I get everything that's in it, and you know, I have it for a good year or so, or until I can't have it any longer, pretty much.
Yeah, I had my Droid 4 for 2 years, and I assume, but I developed a whole lot of issues with it near the end, and the battery life just wasn't what I wanted out of it.
And again, you understand you have the option to switch it out every 3 months. You don't.
Yeah, you don't have to. No,
yeah,
you know, it's like I kept mine. Like I said, I kept mine for 2 months, and then I switched back, and just left it like that, and just so I could see what it was. Like I thought about switching to the Plus, just to see whether or not I would enjoy a phone that big being in my pocket. But I haven't played that game just yet. But I can. I thought about doing it. I probably will, just so I can see if I like it. I've told myself I think it's a silly phone to have a phone that big, but I may or may not get used to it. Who knows? I might try it before I knock it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have one final story, and this is not a credible geeky story, but I do this to let folks know that just because we're black geeks and we're deep into this tech doesn't mean we necessarily aren't aware, or I want to highlight the things that are going on. I wanted to mention that Michael Moore has offered to pay the bail and legal fees for filmmaker and activist Bree Newsom, who this week scaled the South Carolina Capitol poll, and since they wouldn't take down this symbol, this flag of their what they call their heritage, but to many people are is rather offensive and reminded of a very difficult time in the nation's history. And this sister took it upon herself to put on her climbing gear, and she climbed the pole and she took down the flag herself. She was, arrested. The flag was put up 2 hours later, but so I wanted to highlight, her heroism this week, and just sending a message that sometimes we've got to go to extreme measures to make a point. And to show what the right thing to do is, and so I'm coupling that with the geeky side of Michael Moore, who offered to pay her bail and her legal fees.
No,
so
I think that's. I mean, listen, we've played this game before on this show. We know everybody that listens to the show know what we normally talk about, but then there's just some things that should at least get a mention, and I think that's one of them. That whole situation is wonderful. I'm not going to go, I don't know, we don't need to go all that deep into it right now because I've been doing that all week. But, at some point, this foolishness just needs to go ahead and cease. I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, though, unfortunately. But for every measure that happens, every little step you take is a good one.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'd clap her up. Shoot, if I had money, I'd put money towards her bail, too. Even if it's only a few dollars.
Yeah, I'm sure that if anybody had opened a GoFundMe or something, some kind of I'm sure that her stuff would have been paid for like that. I'm sure that a lot of folks would have jumped in and paid. Oh yeah, easily. But I thought that was pretty cool. Michael Moore stepping up. I mean, he's always been kind of on the cutting edge of of very controversial issues. So kudos to him also. And I don't know who else stepped up. I don't want to leave anybody else who offered also offered to pay her her fees. But I just really wanted to highlight her and her heroism and stepping up to do that for what is a very critical movement in this time. So highlight. Thank you, Bree Newsom. Appreciate you. So let's get on to the main topic of the show. I wanted to first talk about Netflix and this. Oh yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna say the
I'm sorry.
I retweeted it today, but I think I forgot her name. I think Jessica Lucas has been cast as Tigress for Gotham. You get that?
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
Really?
She
Tigress or Vixen?
No, Tigress. That's what they're saying. Because she was supposed to be like a Catwoman character, but they couldn't do Catwoman yet because Catwoman's already on the show as the 14-year-old girl. Tigress. Yeah.
What is Tigress?
Tigra or Tigress?
Yeah, Jessica Lucas has been cast as Tigress on Gotham.
Yep.
And I just
she's supposed to be like a Catwoman like character, but not Catwoman.
No, okay.
And I remember, and she's actually a real like that's a character.
No, it is a character.
I think there was that rumor that I had talked about last week that Beyonce was supposed to be like cast as her possibly for Avengers or whatever.
Oh.
You never know, man. Stop that girl.
But yeah, now she's gonna be playing on Gotham. And I think that's really cool. You know, a woman of color, and she's playing this part. I just kind of hope that they give her layers. That she's just not gonna be, you know, having a whip and not much going on to her. So I guess we'll see how she's treated on the show.
Would you now to the point that you just made? Would you contend or would you agree that Jada Pinkett's character had layers? I mean, I kind of thought.
Yeah, she did. She definitely did.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because I think of all the characters, Fish Mooney was probably my favorite, just because. I mean, she was a brilliant character of how she manipulated and she just understood what she needed to do to get ahead in the system. And talk about somebody who was willing to do anything. I mean, anything. The woman, she did the thing. Oh, yeah. She oh man, she was wicked. I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, that was a character. I read the comics. That was the one where in Young Justice, Artemis pretended to be her. Remember?
Yes.
That was her.
Yes.
Though in the comics, it was a different background, but similar.
Right.
Same character, different background. But yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be very, very interesting. Phoenix, did you have anything else for the news you wanted to share this week?
No, I think that was the main thing that stood out to me.
Cool.
I saw.
All right. Kingface always has something interesting. Kingface, you have any interesting news from your week that you wanted to share?
No. I mean,
okay.
I've been mostly just reading the comics, so you know what I know. I did put out a few things on my Twitter feed. If you really want to know, if you're really interested in that, you guys need to check out my Twitter feed and go ahead and see some of the little news articles I'll be putting out. Some of the stuff I'll be digging out and the nuggets I'll be finding. Just go there and check it out.
Well, this is a good opportunity. We're right here. We're about to transition into the second, to our first main topic. Everybody throw out their Twitter feed so that people can follow. Face, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, it's at Kface. At Kface at Twitter.
And that's PHAYCE. Don't go on there and type
Kface.
Yeah.
Just like you see at the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
Kface.
Kface. There you go. And Phoenix, what's your Twitter handle?
I believe it's Phoenix CKD.
You want to check that and report back?
Yeah.
You sound a little unsure. I mean, I have it right here. So let me just.
Okay, you say it.
let me just slide on over because I've been retweeting your stuff and following you. Let me see.
It's Dark Phoenix.
Yes, Dark. It's Dark Phoenix. Capital C, capital K, capital D. So, and of course, I am Big Baba Rob. Not too hard to remember. You can always follow me. My stuff is kind of random. I do everything from inspirational commentary to news to oh my god, I can't believe that just happened type stuff. So, speaking of which, Face, did you see my tweet to you about Injustice?
Yes.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Face. I almost dropped my tablet. It's oh my God. So I tweeted Face this week because I follow the Injustice comic book series religiously, and by some twist of fate, I don't want to say how it happened because I don't want to mess it up for anybody, but somehow Superman and Wonder Woman are locked in Mortal Kombat, and yes, and in the matter of a few pages, it gets so real, so fast, and I wanted there's so much I want to say, but I don't want to ruin what happens. I mean, for just the readers, because literally, I felt my hands getting weak as I flipped to the last page, and this just on my I do comicsology. Oh my God, man, they are killing it. They are absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
And like every year.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, that comic. The thing about that comic, if for people who are not following it because they figure it's non-canon, I understand because I don't always follow non-canon stuff because it gets too convoluted. But because I feel the way I do about DC, that comic is fun solely because some of those characters I would like to see them that way in general, but not gonna happen. But it's fun to watch. It's like reading a good What If. Like a prolonged What If comic where they go, what if this happened? And you're like, ooh, that would be cool. Well, this is a ongoing series of What If, and it's insane. It is insane. Injustice. It is insane, and I highly suggest anyone who's not reading it, get on it. It's definitely fun to read.
Yeah, the writing is absolutely remarkable. I was a huge fan of Tom Taylor when he was writing it. He transitioned off on last year after year 3. But man, I'm gonna tell you the path that they've every single year. We're up to year 4 now. Every single year has been fire. Every single year goes through this roller coaster where they'll maybe do a couple issues of backstory and then they'll blast you with something amazing. I mean, last year they were ripping apart Time and Space. I'm like, what the heck? And I don't even want to tell you. I was chatting with somebody on Twitter this week or last week, and I was like, wait till you see what happens in year 2. Wait till you see who shows up in year 2. And it's just like, it just blows you away, just the sheer scale of what they do in this comic. And so this has definitely been an incredible roller coaster. Injustice is just a great series. So straight hot fire. So let's talk about. So I want to switch to our main topic. Talk about Netflix. And talk about what they're doing in terms of their programming and how they are, just steadily putting such an immense amount of pressure on just the main network television. And a lot of that is because Netflix can pull off some things, and they can really push huge boundaries because don't have the restrictions of network television. I mean, we see shows like Scandal and Grey's Anatomy, how they're pushing the discussion on same-sex relationships, on interracial, they're pushing lots of boundaries, and some of their stuff, gets in some people would consider it kind of racy or subjective. But what Netflix does, I mean, they're just like R. Who cares about an R rating? Let's go ahead. Let's see if we can do R++ without getting the X. I mean, really, some of this stuff is just so graphic. I'm somewhat of a conservative prude when it comes to that kind of stuff. Man, when I accidentally happened on the Orange Is the New Black, I was like, what is this? I was like, this is a bit much, but the story just got so. I mean, and the end of the last season. Oh man, I mean, but it just the story took over for the imagery. But I'm not gonna sit here and do all talking about it. Phoenix, you look at what Netflix is doing, and how they're really changing the game when it's coming to just the content of the shows. I mean, what do you feel that Netflix is really bringing to the table that network television can't bring?
I think one of the things that I look at, especially as someone who writes and tries to create content, that it's one of the things that network TV has always done. It's controlled by a certain amount of people, and they're very it's kind of like an old guard kind of a thing. Like this producer knows this writer, this person knows this person, so they get a green light for their show. If that show gets canceled because of low ratings, they get another show somewhere else. And I think what Netflix has done, it's showed that you can have another platform, that you don't always have to go through network TV, and you can still have a hit. You can still be Emmy nominated. You can still be taken seriously in entertainment. I think Orange is the New Black showed that. I think House of Cards shows that you have these quality shows that don't come on network television. And what you're getting is, they do push the envelope in a lot of things, but you're also getting a chance for people who do create content to, go on Netflix, to go to VOD, go to Amazon, which is also trying to be a contender in the original content, game and things. And you're giving a chance for people to kind of think outside of the box, not the same old storylines that kind of get pushed on network television. And it's forcing network television to try to emulate that same thing, especially with diversity, with more shows that are dominated by strong female characters. Like, you're getting that more because network TV is seeing that people are watching Netflix for their stuff. People are saying, we don't need to watch you live. We don't need to sit through commercials anymore. I think it's just changing the game in terms of putting pressure on them to acknowledge that there's a different kind of audience now, and everyone's not going to take the same old network, the same old stuff that they kept putting out before.
Mm-hmm. I want to throw out a couple of statistics just so folks get a idea on the kind of weight that Netflix brings. According to statistics from earlier this year, Netflix has a total subscribership of 60 million, and they have a U.S. subscribership of 40 million people. The number of hours per month that the users spend watching Netflix is approximately 10 billion hours that they spend watching. And they say that 61% of Netflix users binge watch shows at least every few weeks. Netflix has been nominated for 45 Emmys, 10 Golden Globes, and 2 Academy Awards. So I mean, it's really interesting that Netflix is making the case that you finally have it's like television on your time. You watch the show when you want to watch it. You look at what they did with Daredevil, and I think that Face caught Daredevil. Daredevil was a really, really good series. I mean, it was an impressive series, and so even Netflix has basically made the case. And Face, I'm coming to you on this. I think they really made the case that, look, we can make the comic book movies that the other outlets can't really make because we've got the bandwidth, and we don't have to deal with. They do have commercials, but they don't have to deal with the same pressures that some other places have to work with. I mean, they're making the case that you should bring your comic book movies over here and make them real cool.
Well, from a Netflix standpoint, they don't have commercials. There are no commercials in Netflix. That's number one. I mean, where they get their revenue on the front end, but when the actual shows come on, you get to watch them. And I think the best part about it is they're doing series, and so they're doing it right. Like, they're not trying to fit a concept in an hour and a half, 2 hours. They can literally just tell the damn story and go as many shows as they want, and we're going to watch them. And when Daredevil came out, I watched it all in 2 days. Watched it all in 2 days. I was like, what was it? How many episodes was it? 20?
Was it that many? I watched them all in 3. So
yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, but I didn't realize how many I was watching. I just kept clicking. To watch the next one. I think that's the best part is you don't have to force it, and it didn't feel like one of those weekly series. It just felt different, and it's like, all right, you get to watch it at your own pace. It's not one of those, now I gotta wait a week, and then you can either lose interest. Like, there's been shows that I love, like Flash. I love Flash, but there were times where when that Tuesday rolled around, something came up, couldn't watch the show, I couldn't watch it or whatever.
Or they take a 2-week break.
Or they take the 2-week break, and I used to always get on my nerves because then I could just easily just not watch it, and not because I hated it, just because time just wasn't your friend. But whereas Netflix, they got the formula, they put them out there right up front, and like, watch them when you can, and you get that on that, and then plus they've done thus far with their series, they've done great jobs. I mean, the only series that they've come out with that I have not rocked with, I have not all got all in with Sense8, so I'm not going to judge that one just yet. But when the very first one they came out with, I thought was unique, but I spent the first 7 shows not understanding what was going on. Was it Havelock Grove? I couldn't understand what was happening. Yeah, I didn't know what they were werewolves, they were vampires, what the heck that lady was, what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was happening. I was confused for like 9 shows. Yeah. I was like, what's that? So, but outside of that, they've done great jobs. And it's not just their shows. They got a lot of, I don't know if it's original, but they got a lot of anime series. I've watched more anime series from Netflix in the past 2 years than I have all time. And now, keep in mind, I'm watching them every day. Every time I see a new anime series, I'm on it. So, but it's just great. Like, it's like some of these artists and some of these cartoonists, they're using that platform to come out with these quick series to see if, put the series out, see if it's good. And then when it's good, people go on it, then they do it again and again and again. But they've come out with some great ideas, anime-wise, within the past year. Stuff that I'm like, I never heard of that. And then I go and I find, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're growing and they're using Netflix to do it, and it's just great. It's a great platform. I just hope they continue to be what they are and they don't grow beyond themselves and become an HBO, because it would defeat the purpose. But for what it is right now, I think it's a great idea. And I think the other cable companies should either try to follow suit, because that's where it's going. That's where it's headed, I think.
Right. Let me ask you.
Netflix and who was taking it.
Face, you said something, and Chauncey, I'm gonna ask you the exact same question. So, just like Daredevil, and there were 13. There were 13 episodes of Daredevil, and like, so that's why it made it definitely watchable within 2 or 3 days. And if you don't sleep, you could have to do it in 2. But so let me ask you, how did you prefer that? Did you prefer them to just take the whole series and say, "Blow, here's the whole series. Watch it when you're ready"? Do you prefer that, or do you prefer like Injustice? It comes out every week, and I kind of like my every week. Although but like there's some comics I've gone and just bought the volumes and just read it straight through. Like I don't know, it's like sometimes I kind of like the weekly thing.
But you know what? I think what we like about the week-to-week thing is the anticipation, and so it has its place. It does. I can see it having its place, but at the same time, as someone who's read comics, the thing I hate the most is a serious cliffhanger, and then I have to wait a week, because then I'll be thinking about it for a week. And it's like, for me, my favorite thing, and it's just always been this way, whenever I first get into something, even though it's been out for a while, like if I give you a perfect example, for whatever reason, I've never read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's always been one of those things, I should read that, but I kept putting it off, so I just started reading it. That's fun for me, to not have to wait a year or 2 to finish a series, because the series has been out already. So I could just pick it up, and then when I'm ready, read the next one, and then read the next one instead of having to wait a year or whatever. It's the same thing with comics. Whenever I get a whole stack of comics, like Convergence or The Secret Wars, I just went and grabbed them, and so I'm reading them back to back to back to back to back. I'm not waiting. Well, for Secret Wars I am, but that's annoying, because I want to know what's happening now. I want to know what's happening now. I'm in it. I got the time. I want to read it now, or read it at my pace and not wait for the cliffhangers and have to wait a week. So while it does have its place, the anticipation game, because there's something to be said about having I can't wait till next week. At the same time, I'm also like, oh man, if I can just go ahead and read them all right now at my own pace, that's also great. That's also great, to just be able to knock it out when you're ready. Because there's, like you said, there's so much stuff that we could be watching and we could be doing. If I have the time, like right now, I have several hours. It'd be great for me to just knock out a series. So then tomorrow I could do another one, instead of having to get piled up with a bunch of different series that come on at some random time that I have no control over.
Right. Right. What about you, Fiends? What do you prefer? You prefer the all at once binge watch, or do you prefer just spaced out?
My thing is I do like instant gratification when it comes to, like, that's why I like spoilers, because I kind of want to know what's going to happen and things. But I think for me, like, even with the comics that I do read, I get them in volumes. Like, I don't like reading single issues because I don't like waiting like a whole month or for some longer than a month or whatever. Like I'm reading, like I basically have volumes, like The Wicked and Divine. I have volume 1. Rat Queens volume 1. The Storm series. I waited until it came out for a bit and then bought like 1 through 5. You know, like I wanted to support it because the sales were low for it. So I did buy each issue, but I, waited because I like reading back to back. And the same thing with Netflix. One of the reasons why I like Netflix, because I don't usually watch live network television because, my schedule's weird because of, the industry I'm in and stuff. So sometimes I just miss, shows and things. So I like the idea of being able to, I don't usually binge watch. Like I don't usually watch a whole series straight through, but I do, like I'll watch 1 and 2. And then like later on in the week, I'll watch 3 and 4. And I like having it at my own pace, and I think there's something to be said for that because, we just live in a day and age where if you look at the networks, it's really a business standpoint of why they have a 22 episode season. A lot of these seasons don't need to be 22 episodes in the US. They do that because the more episodes they have, the more money they get for commercials. That's one of the reasons. And that's why it's so great with Netflix because usually their seasons are like, 13 episodes or 6 episodes and you get the whole story. And I think one of the things about cliffhangers, they can be fun, but I think if the writing is there and it's good enough and the story's good enough, you don't need to, keep people holding on like after episode 2 or 3 or something, So, yeah, I like the idea of watching. I watch Netflix all the time. I just watched it today. I was watching Mortal Kombat. I went back and watched that.
The movie.
Yes, the 1990s.
That movie.
And I did,
you had to laugh at that movie. The special effects.
It was, but the thing was, no, wait a minute. But the movie was not as campy as people like to remember it as. It actually had a very good script. And Johnny Cage was like one of the best parts of that movie, but it had a really good script. Like it was a really good script. Anyway, I'm just saying. I watched Netflix today, okay?
Okay, got it. I thought that this would be very interesting for King Face. I don't know if he was aware, but according to sources, Netflix is actually, for 2016, is going to release Marvel's Luke Cage and Marvel's Iron Fist.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that's going to be their push to ultimately do a Defenders show. And so they're doing them individually, and then they're going to do the group. And I'm with it. It's funny because now, since we went to the Comic-Con, that awesome con, I'm torn about Iron Fist. I hadn't really cared. I had really gone all in on that at first, because I like the Defenders comics, mostly because I like Luke Cage, and by default I like Danny Rand's character. But after going to that diversity panel, I'm kind of looking at it now like that is kind of crazy. The whole concept of Iron Fist is crazy, but yeah, I'm still gonna watch it. I like it because I've been reading that comic since forever.
Right.
But now, I mean, it is kind of. Now that every time I look at that character, now I was just reading the comic and they brought him up, and I was just like, But his character is interesting, and his coat and his everything. The other characters that they bring up in his comics are interesting as well. I mean, that's when I first got up with. That's how I know mostly about Misty Knight is through reading his comics, and so that ought to be interesting. If they don't have Misty Knight in any of those shows, I'm gonna be hot about it. We'll see.
Completely understood. So go ahead. So I was going to ask. Phoenix, in your opinion, what does network television really have any options at this point? Because they're kind of restricted to the prime time, because they're really there are just so many restrictions that's placed upon network television at this point. And you look at how far they have gone in some of the shows that they've gone, and I would say a lot of network television is pretty much relying on reality series. what can network television do? Do they have any options at this point other than just churning out high quality, well written shows and reality stuff?
I honestly believe network TV is dying. I think because of just the model that it's under, this idea, because of the fact of what I was saying, that people like instant gratification, people don't like commercials, people don't, people are kind of over it. That's why so many people are willing to wait for something to come out on Netflix or just download it and things like that. And I think that is their only option, really, is just to basically either, turn out quality stuff or try to buy out what some of these, or hope that Netflix, eventually loses popularity or something, which I don't see happening. But I wanted to kind of speak to the idea that, for artists and stuff, there's also a great thing where Netflix shows that you can have, if you like produce a quality show and then you could put it out for people to watch. I mean, it's not for free for Netflix, but it also shows people that you can produce your own thing and put it out. And there are people online looking for original content as well, because network TV has kind of been a gatekeeper of that for so long, where even if you had a really cool concept for a show, there was no way you were going to get anyone to be able to see it. And now web series and Netflix and Amazon original content has showed that that's not the case. So, yeah, I think network TV's dying, to be honest.
Yeah, but don't you think that? I mean, technically, their houses have multiple tiers. Some they own other channels. So wouldn't you think that network television just has its place? That it does what it's supposed to do, and then just like ABC has another channel like ABC Family, or you do have stations that own other cable stations where they're allowed to do different content. So I mean, like if you look at what network television brings you, it brings you your primetime shows, it brings you your late night news, brings you your morning shows, which everyone's doing morning shows now. You can find morning shows just all over the place, especially your CNNs, MSNs, and HLOs, HLN or HSN, whatever. I mean, you've got it. So wouldn't you think that the network television plays the role it's supposed to play, and then they just do all their other stuff on the other channels?
I mean, yeah, I don't think you might never, I guess people still watch news and things like that, and, the reality series and the daytime shows and stuff. But, I mean, I guess I'm thinking in terms of, like, content, like even primetime shows and things like that. People, I think, they geared towards being able to watch it on their own time and their own way of watching it. And I think dying, I guess I mean more in popularity in terms of like what people tune into first. I think more and more people are going to be fine with not having cable television, and they're going to be like, I have my Netflix subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things. One of the things that's changed and we don't have anymore, and I know maybe individually we might do it, but I think if we look at it overall, even at our own spaces, it's not the same, is the concept of families watching TV at the same time. In the same room. Because I know for us growing up, we talk about certain shows that I used to watch. It was an event in the house. I was able to stay up 30 minutes past my bedtime and watch In Living Color. It was with the whole fam. You see what I mean? I was able to stay up 30, 40 minutes past my bedtime to watch The Cosby Show, The Simpsons, whatever. It was an event. It was like, ooh, it's coming on. And we all just sit there and we'll get the popcorn. And that's some of where our memories come from. I still, to this day, remember that old commercial. You remember the commercial with McDonald's and the moon guy? He's singing a song. And it was one of those shows. It was just one of those things we all knew the words verbatim. And it was like, yeah, because we would just sit there and watch TV together all the time. So the whole crew knew it. So if I was to walk out and start singing it, everybody in the family would start singing it. Because we all was in the same room at the same time watch TV. You don't have that now. A lot of us watch like we TiVo something, and each house has multiple TVs now, and everybody has their own room that they go to watch TVs. We all have our own devices. Some of us watch Netflix on their iPads or their tablets or whatever, and it's just like I watch a lot of shows coming home on a bus because I got a good hour and a half commute, so I'll sit there and that's where I catch up because I know I'm not doing anything. Things like that, you don't have that anymore, and I think that along with the online TV is killing network TV because it's no longer that big a deal anymore. I think that's why they have to go to reality TV and morning shows because they know people going to work or at work, they'll watch the morning shows. But the prime time is not nearly as valuable as it once was because we just don't have that family time anymore. As a whole, most people. I mean, even in my house, I try to do it, but at the end of the day, there's those moments where the kids want to go and do their thing. My wife want to go and do her thing. And it's like, you know what? I'm not even going to force y'all to sit in this room with me and watch stuff. It's just not the same. It's just not the same deal. For whatever reason, we can go, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's kind of messed up that families don't spend nearly as much time together as they should, but that's just me. And I think that kind of puts a dent on what used to be fun TV. I don't think anybody is checking to watch The Simpsons like they were when we were coming up because the whole family was watching it, whether that was your favorite thing or not, whatever your show was. I used to watch Murder, She Wrote with my mother. I used to hate it at first. And then I got into the point where trying to solve the plot before Angela did. Just those are things that I think are gone now, unfortunately. And I think it's taken the concept of primetime TV with it.
That's very true, but it's very interesting when you think about it from a slightly reverse angle. That you're right. I didn't have a lot of those memories because my parents worked a lot. And just I was a latchkey kid growing up. Eventually they came home. They were educators, so eventually at some point they came home, but it was typically pretty late. But we rarely sat around and watched things. But you're right. I mean, a lot of folks did. A lot of folks sat around and they took those things in. I used to remember I was just mentioning to somebody earlier. My thing was MASH. I like to watch MASH. Came on 11 o'clock on Fox because Fox did their news in DC. They did it at 10, so it was news from 10 to 11. And then so MASH came on at 11. I was sitting up there, high schooler, and I've seen every episode of MASH ever. It's has to be my favorite show. You would think it was Transformers, but MASH was probably my favorite show growing up. But I'm sorry, so I got off track. The point I was going to make was, if you really think about it, how it's really switched because prime time used to be a time for the family to sit around and watch, but your kids can't sit around and watch Scandal. You have to now at like 8, 9 o'clock. You have to really tell your kids go away. They can't watch Grey's Anatomy. I mean, and they can't even watch a lot of the reality shows. Sometimes they try to put the better ones.
Hold on.
Now there's some shows on 7. So there's some shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent, and there's some shows. Blackish, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, there were shows. I mean, think about it though. My son can watch Grey's Anatomy. I have no problem with him watching Grey's Anatomy. I just know he has no patience to do it because he doesn't care. But there were shows even back then. Like thinking of it now, it doesn't seem pushy. But like we used to watch Saturday Night Live. We used to watch In Living Color. I mean, those were pushing the envelope shows back then.
But Saturday Night Live was at 11:30. That wasn't prime time. That was outside.
It's late.
It's late. That's when kids weren't sitting up watching that.
We were. Right. It was one of those shows where we were allowed to stay up. It's why we were looking forward to it. And sometimes we didn't make it because we were just too tired. And it was one of those where your mother was like, okay, no, you can watch it. You are getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, though, just as long as we understand that. But whatever. And it was up to you whether you want to play that game or not. And most of the time we did. I mean, yeah. But yeah.
No, I agree with that to a certain degree. I know me and my mom, we used to bond over, they put Sailor Moon, that series, on early morning, 7:30, and the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon series on at 7. And we used to watch that before I went to school. And then at night, in prime time, we used to watch Dawson's Creek. That was our thing. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was our thing because it came on each week. And that was the way my mom and I could watch the same series. But then recently Hulu did Sailor Moon Crystal, and I can't stand Hulu, to be honest, because they have commercials every 5 minutes with their so-called content that you pay for. But I was trying to get
that's
my
crazy, because I always thought that when you paid for it, you didn't get the commercials.
You wouldn't have to sit through commercial. Nope, I paid for it. I still got them. They don't take the commercials out when you pay for Hulu. So I canceled my subscription as soon as I finished Sailor Moon Crystal. But I tried to get my mom, and me and my mom to watch that together, but she couldn't figure out, she's a little older, she couldn't figure out the technology of it. So we couldn't really, watch it together pretty much, because it didn't come on network TV for her. So.
Well, yeah, when the older and it is what it is. I argue with some of my friends who are older. They're not even trying to get into the new content. They don't, and it's crazy because I'll be talking to them. I was like, if you just got your Netflix, your whole life would change. He was like, look, my whole life is almost over. I don't need to change. I'm just going to sit there and watch dang 60 Minutes. And I'm like, all right, man.
Dateline. You can't. 2020.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, to a degree, but at the same time, I mean, I still try. I still try to watch stuff with the fam. We had our shows for the longest time. Oh my God, me and my wife used to do Law and Order in school, and then my daughter got sucked into it, and we would watch Law and Order all versions every time. I think we only recently just stopped, and that was because they changed the time slot, I think, and we just haven't gotten back into it yet. But we have our shows. Me and my daughter. My daughter likes to Walking Dead. That was weird because I didn't expect that, but she likes Walking Dead, so we all sit there and watch that. But even that, we don't always watch it at the same time.
Right.
I'll watch it when it come on and they TiVo it, and they'll pick it up later. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I guess that's a whole nother aspect we didn't even talk about, was the concept of DVRing now, where you really can do everything on your own time. And then even to go further than that is, I wouldn't say, let's see, it's definitely not a competition, but also a lot of the cable networks, the non-network stations, they're also putting the majority, if not all of their content also online. So, I mean, I'm never able to watch, any shows. I'm never able to watch shows between 8 and 10, so I miss a lot of the really good stuff. The only way I could ever watch Arrow or Flash, I've never seen a single episode of Arrow or Flash on television. I watch everything on my computer, at night, between 11 and 1, 10 and 1, or over the weekend where I have some time, I'm trying to get some extra work done, and I pull it up on another screen while I'm trying to I'm writing an article to Black Geeks or whatever I'm doing. You think about it, it's all about your content on your time, and I think that's what everyone, even the network, take the network too. Network's doing it. You can go online and watch their show. They only
watch everything on demand. It's like it's on demand right away for some of these shows. Yeah. So and I think, I don't know the logic behind it, whether it makes sense. You might end up seeing some of these networks start doing original online content. I think you might see that soon and easily. When you look at, Netflix did theirs, then Hulu went and did theirs, and then they all went all in. I know Amazon did that. Yeah. So I think that is only the logical next step. What networks follow that chain, I can't be sure. But I mean, you already have HBO Go. You already have the premium channels, have Go channels, and I think all channels, or most of the channels, have the ability to watch stuff online. Yeah. But you have to connect it to your actual cable, which is weird. But whatever, not weird. I mean, it is what it is. But at some point that'll change, and you can go on to the channels online settings and watch some of their shows. But they have commercials and all that, so it's just like watching it on TV or TiVo in it. But I mean, I think that will be the next step, is for these people to do their own online original content, and that could change the game for some of these networks who who don't really have too much following or people don't watch enough. Now it could probably give someone in those networks more creativity to come up with better shows because they don't have some of the restrictions that you would have on cable TV. And so that might be somewhere I think they might be going in the future.
But to what Dark Phoenix said earlier, I think probably the difference is going to be, unlike on Netflix where you can pretty much you pay your subscription and you just watch, it's going to be like a Hulu type setting because they have to make their revenue at some point in time. So even if they do go to the online, they're going to have to run ads through the entire show unless they do it like, I think it's like on Hulu, if I recall, I haven't been on Hulu in a minute, but you could like click on this one ad to watch for, you know, the majority of the show with no interruptions, and you interact with an ad for like 2 minutes and answer some questions.
Yeah, they do have that, but that pops up like only every once in a while.
Yeah, it's only
There's no
that,
reason
you
to
don't
it.
get that chance a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I thought it was a thing. I thought, oh well, okay, I'll take the damn survey, and so I watch more damn movie. But it's like an every once in a while thing. Because the last series I watched on Hulu before I quit using Hulu was Booth at the End, which was awesome.
Oh my God, that was Geek Solar Brother turned me onto that thing, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
What was it?
Booth at the End.
Booth at the End.
Oh my gosh.
So you don't have so if you cancel your subscription, you can still go to Hulu on your computer, on your desktop. Just your last hurrah, watch Booth at the End.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was pretty much an original concept, and it was creepy and funny at the same time. It was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I watched that all the way. I think we watched that all the way through because it's not the shows aren't that long and it's not that many of them in the season. What was it, like 5 or 6 per season? 2 seasons, like 5 or 6 shows maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. It was
very short.
8 at the most.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun to watch.
It was. It really got you wrapped up, and it's a slow addiction. It really is, because like you just watch it and you're really confused. By the second show, you're like, wow. Third show, you're like, oh crap. I mean, and it's a really slow burn, but boy, by the time they got to the end of that season, I was so wanting more. I was so
and to speak to the creativity of the show. It takes place in the same spot. I don't think they ever moved.
They did.
They never moved from that place in the diner. He sat at that table for the entire series, and yet it was that riveting. So that's right there is creative all by itself. It probably cost all $5 to do that show.
Yep.
Because they had to for real buy apple pie. For real, he probably ate so much apple pie he had to go and do some real work because he was eating apple pie on every joint. But I think outside of that was pretty impressive to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
So I definitely give that a thumbs up.
Yeah, that was Geek Soul Brother turned us on the dial.
Geek Soul Brother. Yeah, Geek Soul Brother put on of the year.
Yeah, that was a great one. That was a really great one. I wanted, and we can, if there are any other comments on, we can come back to it. And I wanted to, we're a little bit over time, but I wanted to just real quick kind of run around the table, and we talked about, and we've kind of agreed as a group that we can't all watch all 25, 35 shows that are like just really great right now. So many of us are going in different directions, and we're each kind of watching different things. I don't think we've like no one has assignments. Let me just say that no one's been assigned, you need to watch this so I can watch this. No one's done that. But what I want to do just real quick is just go around the table and find out who's watching what this season. We've got some shows that are coming out in the fall. Who's going to be watching what? So what we'll do is periodically we'll come back to you all, our loyal listeners and viewers. And I say listeners because we are on SoundCloud, by the way. Shameless plug. And we're going to talk about, we'll probably be talking about what's going on in our shows as we go through. So I'll start with Phoenix. So Phoenix, what are you watching? Is there anything that's coming up that you're really looking forward to?
There's a Minority Report with Megan Good. It's like based off of the Tom Cruise movie. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed that movie, and this is basically I don't know if it's a spinoff or prequel of it. But yeah, it's basically she's the main character, and there's another guy, and it's like a cop drama, but it's like based on it's in the verse of the Minority Report, so it's the series. So I'm gonna be checking that out because Black Girls Rock, and I want to support that anyway. But it actually looks pretty good. I saw the trailer. I'm also going to watch Sleepy Hollow. I've been watching Sleepy Hollow. It fell off in season 2. There was some problems with who they were focusing on that season, but it seems like they've gotten it right because they changed the showrunner, which was a good move, and it's refocusing back on Abby Mills, who was the main female character on there. So I watched that. I fell out of it, but since they seem to be going in a better direction, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it another shot. Of course, I watched The Flash. They're doing some stuff next season that I may not approve of, but I'm going to try to see what happens with it. So I watched that. Of course, I watched The Walking Dead. That's coming back. They just released the new poster for the upcoming season for that one, which is really interesting. And the last one. There's another one. I forgot. Well, I always watch Archer. I don't know if anyone watches Archer.
I've not gotten into Archer yet. I have not gotten into it. How is that?
You really have not? It's been like 6 seasons, but it's like...
Look, we just said we can't watch everything now.
It's hilarious. I just love that show, to be honest. Like, it's so funny, and it's a play off of spy dramas, but it's not really, and it's set in, it kind of has a 1940s feel, Mad Men feel to it, but it mixes all historical figures with it, and it's just really hilarious. It's a hilarious show. So I watched that, and the last we left off in, they were kind of stuck in the desert, so we're going to see where that goes for next season.
Okay, cool. How about you, Kingface? What's on your DVR this year?
Well, I mean, right this very moment, I've been watching a lot of anime. I've been watching a whole lot of anime, trying to catch up. One of the things when you do play the anime game, they could be so convoluted because they'll do a lot of filler episodes. And whenever you do catch up, like I remember I caught up with Bleach. I think it was episode 300 something, and I had to stop. And I love Bleach. I had to stop. And I was like, I'll wait a while and let them fill up again. So they just got to the point. I think they're like in 400 something. And so I just started catching up with Bleach. The same thing for Tale. That was one of my other favorite animes. I ended up stopping that because I actually caught up to him. And like I said, I got tired. I had gotten a Fairy Tail before, well, after it had already came out. And so by the time I got into it, there were already like 85 episodes. So I was able to binge watch it whenever I wanted. So I would watch like 5-6 episodes at a time. And so I just let that fill up. So I'm starting to catch up on that. And then they have, if you go on Netflix, they got a couple of animes that I don't know if they're originals for them. I just know, like I said before, a lot of these new artists are putting their stuff out there. One of the newer guys, well, the newer groups, was it Rooster Red? They came out with their own type of anime, which was cool, by the way. And it was supposed to be it's a new kind, but it's pretty awesome. You should go on it. Just go into Netflix and just type in certain animes and just pull it up. I know they just put Bleach back on Netflix, but nothing new.
Yeah.
If you watched a lot of them already, there's nothing new on there. Same thing. They just put Inuyasha back on Netflix again. I don't know if anybody got into that, but it's nothing new.
I liked it.
If you watched it before, yeah, I love Inuyasha. That was one of my favorites. So they just put that back on Netflix. But right now, I've just been reading a lot. And so I'm trying to finish off this Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm on book 3 now. Book 3 of 4. And so I'm just trying to finish that. It's a cool read.
Cool.
Seeing as how I drove 12 hours to get down here, I needed something to keep my attention on.
I got you. Now, and in all fairness, and I'm not gonna open up this can of worms and turn it into debate. These are audiobooks.
Actually, I do both.
Right, you switch it back and forth, but you're talking about audiobooks.
No, I do both. Like with this Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
really?
I couldn't find one. See, let me tell y'all something, people. I'm 35 years old. I've been reading all my life. So when I say I listen to read, that doesn't. I got into this debate with my uncle, and I said, listen, if you're talking about my son who's only 11, okay, I don't really allow him to do audiobooks like that. I actually give him a stack of, you read that because you need to learn how to read for one. I don't have that problem. I know how to read. And it's crazy because I used to not like audio. I never got into the audiobook game because because for me, I have to read a book and I get into it. Like even, you know how when you're reading something, a paragraph, and your mind wanders and you read it, but you wasn't really paying attention. And then you just go back and reread the whole thing. I do the same thing with audiobooks the same way. I don't not pay attention when I'm listening to something. It's like when my mind wanders, I just rewind it and listen to it again. And it's crazy because I never did the audiobook thing. I think Geekonius put me on once because I can read a book and lock myself in a room and not come out until it's done. I've done that 1,000 times. So now what this is giving me the ability to do is just like reading it with someone or someone reading it to me. That's just the way I see it. And it's just, I go back and forth. Some books aren't audiobooks. I have to go and get the regular copy, and that doesn't slow me down in the slightest. I've played that game where I've had audiobooks and I was curious, so I went and got the regular copy and read it, and I felt the same way. It didn't feel different to me. You know what I mean? Like I think one of them was like with the Harry Potter series. I did both the audiobooks and I read the hard copies because I was just curious. Matter of fact, up until book 6, I never did audiobooks. That was right around the time that Geekonius forced me to listen to an audiobook, and then I got hooked. And I still read the regular copies because I still buy paperbacks because I keep them for my kids because they're not allowed to listen to audiobooks as much as I do. But that's because I'm always running around. I'm always at work. I'm always on a train. I'm always on a bus. I'm always on the move. I'm always doing something. And I don't have that time that I used to have to just sit down and read. And I would never get anything read. And so, but yeah, with certain books, like this one in particular, I listened to the first one. I couldn't find the second one. So I sat down and read it, knocked that out, got to the third one. Same thing with some of my other favorite books. They're not all available audiobooks, but that's not going to stop me from reading a series. If I like the series, I'm reading it regardless. I will find that book. If I can't find an audiobook, I get the hard copies. Some stuff aren't audiobooks. I just go ahead and get the hard copies. I do digital copies now because I have my pad. I don't always do paperback. Y'all just gonna have to hate me if you hate me. But you know, to me, it's not overly that different because I go back and forth as much. It doesn't change much for me.
Yeah, I got you. I think the only reason I brought it up is because you were using the terminology read, and then you also said keep my attention while you were driving. So just some folks might not have understood. I know now. I've been around you long enough that I know that you guys use it interchangeably because we had this conversation probably 2 years ago where I said, wait a minute, you can't read an audiobook. What the heck? So we already had this out years ago. That's a whole nother show. So I just want to set it up for people who may have been listening and they asked the question like, keep his attention while he's driving. What? So I was just trying to clarify, but thanks for breaking that down. For me personally, I'm not doing. I don't think I'm doing too much, but I wrote down the ones that I'm following, and it's interesting because I realized that the ones I'm the shows that I'm following is because I'm really attached to them in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sorry, not attached to the show, but I'm attached to the storyline, and I like really want to find out what happens next. So Orange is the New Black. I got hooked on that show last year, and you know, there's some people who look at it and just say, oh yeah, it's just because it's all the woman on woman. I said, look, if you don't watch that show and you don't really see the real, because there are so many storylines. and the actresses and actors on that show are incredible. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with the old girl's baby. I'm trying to. I mean, there's just so many storylines. You know, what's going to happen with Red. I just really try to figure out what's going to what's going to happen with the characters. And I mean, you can look past a lot of the other stuff that happens on there. But you can't step away from the incredibly deep storylines that they've woven into the lives of the characters. So it's incredible. Daredevil, I'm really looking forward to see what they do second season. And this may be an odd one, and I don't know, some folks may not agree with this one or understand this. There's this little animated show called Gravity Falls. And at the end of last season, they threw one hell of a screwball at us at the end of it, and it's completely blown my mind about what I've understood about this show. And I looked at the show, probably the last, like, I guess 4 to 6 episodes of Gravity Falls just got really deep and intricate, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some better better explanation of what's going on with Grunkle Stan. So Gravity Falls. Another one that's really got me on the edge of my seat is Under the Dome. I'm like been waiting for this. I'm like, what the heck is going on with this dome?
So you are you into the dome? Under the Dome?
I've watched every. I know you guys have read the book. I haven't read the book, but I've not. I've watched every single show. I'm up to the end of last season, and I'm like it? It's weird. It's a little dry. But I'm only compelled. I think I'm only compelled from the sci-fi aspect of trying to I want to know what this dome is. Why? I want to know what, where, why, how. I don't understand what's going on with this dome at all. So the show may be a little dry, but I'm very, very much hooked into the overall storyline.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite books ever. I was curious of whether or not the show would actually be good. Because it's one of them, I mean, Stephen King, it's one of those books that are just so awesome. And then when you hear they're going to make a show, it's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, y'all watch, was it Lovely Bones? Is it Lovely Bones or Bag of Bones? Mm-hmm. Lovely Bones. Any of y'all watch that series?
No, I haven't heard of that.
I think it's on Netflix. It's about the guy he's a writer, and he goes out to this town where all this crazy stuff is happening, and he's basically going through his life after his wife dies. And the book was intense, the show not so much. And I was curious if Under the Dome was going to repeat that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that the first season was a little bit tough to get through, but just understanding, I think the dome, the function of the dome, and I think I put it like this when we first talked about it. You don't endear yourself to the characters. I really don't feel myself so much endeared to the characters I am the overall storyline. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's different than like the next one on my list, like Blacklist. I mean, I'm really compelled by Reddington to a degree. I'm not that compelled to Lizzie, but I like Blacklist. Under the Dome, it's a little bit dry. You don't find yourself attached to anyone, but the story is just compelling. So to finish up my list, I'll be following along with Walking Dead. Some of that's for me, and some of that's for you guys, the listeners and viewers, because we're always talking about it on the show. But I'll probably be following along with that. Definitely, I just mentioned Blacklist, and the one show which I felt a lot of people slept on, but I really think should definitely see some awards in the award season, was American Crime. American Crime was absolutely one of the best written, some of the best, I guess you call it cinematography or the way in which they shot it was revolutionary to me. I wrote an article about that and actually had a chance to interact on Twitter with the executive producer and several of the actors. But that show was just it was so compelling and so well written. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next year. I have a feeling I know what they're going to do, but I'm just going to wait and see. So that's my list of shows for next year. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely over our hour limit. We did start a little late, but still, we don't want to overdo it. Although I know you just love all the black geekiness that we bring to the table every week. But now it's time to say goodbye to all my black geek friends. So we're gonna. You thought I was gonna do it? Face said he's not gonna do it. Face thought I was gonna do it. I know Face thought I was gonna do it. I considered him. For 2 seconds, but as Phoenix and I were talking about earlier, this show is very unscripted. So I just went with it and decided to change it up. So, Phoenix, any last thoughts from you before we wrap?
I forgot to mention Killjoys is another one. It's a sci-fi show that I saw some people talking about on Twitter that I wanted to check out. It's about these bounty hunters that go on like across the galaxy to, I guess, catch outlaws or whatever. And it seems pretty interesting. Like, I know right now they're trying to debate between being campy and being like a serious show, but I kind of want to give it a shot. So.
Okay. Face, any final thoughts from you?
I'm going to go enjoy my jacuzzi right now.
I'm not mad at you. Look, man, you a hard-working brother. You deserve to have some R&R, so you enjoy yourself. We'll try not to bother you too much, and we'll definitely catch you back here, right here, people. 10:30 p.m. right here on the tube. You can catch us out. Make sure that you follow us, www.theblackgeeks.com. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter at The Black Geeks. We're on Facebook on The Black Geeks, Tumblr on The Black Geeks, SoundCloud on The Black Geeks, Google Plus on The Black Geeks, Instagram on The Black Geeks, and on YouTube it's The Black Geeks 42 all together. And so we're just everywhere, and you can follow us, you can like us, and the best thing that you can do for your heart health and for someone you love is to share us with them and tell them they can get the latest in geekiness and news and tech and reviews if they just follow along on any of those links, and we were always putting out stuff. So you should do this. It's good for you. It's good for them. It's good for us. It's a win-win situation. What can I say? Hey, that's a compelling argument. And I'm not trying to sell you a car. So you know that I must be sincere about all of this. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen. That is our show for today. We'll see you back here next week. Make sure you follow us so you can know when the show's going to happen. And I'm now going to press the nice, pretty red button. Bye-bye.